Very lightly go around the edge. Bam, just like that. That we want to keep nice and bright back there behind the wave. Say your sky turned green up here accidentally, cover it with a cloud, you're good. I never like it to be perfect. This is getting sucked up that way. Gotta make it soft, follow those angles of our waves. People go, why do you wear gloves? This is why. Hey guys, welcome back to Paint with Josh. Today we did an 18 by 24 inch great wave off Kanagawa and it came out amazing! You obviously think so, that's why you clicked on the link. So check the description down below, make sure you get all the colors you need, get your canvas nice and wet, get ready to throw some paint on it. We're gonna do it just like this. Hey guys, welcome back to Paint with Josh. Let's go through the colors that we have today. We probably won't use all of these. We'll probably stick with our phthalo green, phthalo blue, maybe a little bit of crimson, a little bit of black, and a little bit of white. Maybe we can get away with just having these 5 gorgeous colors, at least into our water. And then we'll go cad yellow and bright red and maybe a little bit of our yellow ochre as well into our sky. So let's get that going. We've already taken and put a little bit of our Bob Ross liquid white in the white area and a little bit of the liquid clear in the clear area. You can't see in the black area anyway. You can't see the clear. And let's start off. We'll get the old cup technique out. So we're gonna need a 1-inch brush. And we're gonna need our highly sensitive technical piece of equipment, our solo cup. Now let's decide what color we want to start with, right? Do you want it to be super bright yellow? Do you want it to be kind of orangey? Let's grab a little bit of the red, bright, bring it into the yellow, just so it's not perfectly bright yellow, right? Everything that we put on the canvas is going to brighten up because of the liquid white that's there. It's going to make everything get brighter. So let's grab a little bit of our orange onto the brush, take our cup and decide where do we want our sun to be. Maybe in my mind, I don't know, maybe it's back here behind the wave and we can kind of create like a cool bit of light shining through it. So let's put it back here. Very lightly go around the edge. Bam, just like that. And then that bright area is what we're going to try to keep bright. So let's take this and blend it outwards away from that bright area that we're going to try to keep our dead center of our sun right back in here. We're going to try to keep that white anyway. That's the plan. Okay, now we're going to need a little bit of a darker color. So let's go into that yellow ochre, which is automatically a darker color than our yellow, our cad yellow and bright red mixed in. Grab a little bit of the red over there as well. And then we're going to come around and let's say we're going to leave a little bit of room in between. So let's say our yellow goes in here, but you can see it immediately starts to go very bright once it hits that liquid white. So you need to have a little bit more color on your brush, a little bit deeper, darker tones in the sky, and let it change, right? You have our yellow into our red over here, maybe some of the bright red just by itself down here. Got underneath our sun down there, right? Very cool. Take it and change it up. A little bit of crimson, maybe underneath that red down there or in between. Let there be different colors. We're gonna blend them all together, right? Take a little bit more of our crimson, maybe we'll come up here. Just have that deeper, darker purpley tone down in there. All right, everything's gonna blend away. So before we get too far away, let's grab a little bit of a red, a little bit of our crimson over here, and maybe we'll dump it in from this side. And just have this gorgeous sunset sky up here. Always finish your edges though. It only takes a second, finish the sides. All right, bring some of that red above the top. Bring some of our crimson down. Decide where you want to have your nice bright colors and then where you want to have the dark area of your sky start to take over. So let's have a little bit of our blue, a little bit of the black, not too much of either. Ooh, that's a lot. Why don't we try to cover the edges first? Maybe we can dump some of the paint off of the brush that way. There we go. Bring it in. Don't let it go too far. You don't want to have it grow too far in, right? It's going to want to move down. Everything's going to want to come down and cover our white center, which we're going to try to keep nice and bright. We're going to wash our brush right into the cup. Just like that. Shake it off. Taylor Swift telling us what to do. Right into the bucket, all right? Get that, beat it around inside of our nice nasty beater bucket. Comes out nice and clean. Always want to dry it off on a paper towel though, at least I do. I always dab it out on a paper towel. Now you can see down in here, all these little white areas, those are going to work to our favor. So you don't want to cover all those up. All right, now we can take our big 2-inch brush. Nice clean 2-inch brush. You know what, let's even use the brand new 2-inch brush from, this one was from Jackie, I believe. Fantastic little brush, okay? Now what we're going to want to do first, in here with our dry 1-inch brush, let's pull in our little bits of our sun like a clock. All right? We're going to pull it in like this. Every hour is going to shrink in, but I'm not going to try to cover this one center. It's like a quarter-sized little center area that that we want to keep nice and bright back there behind the wave. And that'll be our bright white sun, right? It doesn't have to be super bright white. You want to have a little bit of yellow in there, but not too much. Don't cover it all. Right, now the rest we can switch to a bigger brush, start to work all this stuff out, right? Taking some of the yellow, pulling it out into the red. Some of the red, pulling it back into the yellow, back and forth, and we work all these colors together. Then you can't really tell when, you know, what color is what. They're all blended so gorgeously, right? Come out in here. You don't want to get too much of your dark colors on your brush before you finish your light area, right? So go into your light area. Look at that. Just blends and blends until you can't really tell what was what started where, which was what color. Fantastic. Let's come over here. I'm gonna blend this guy down, blend him out. Just pulling little streaks, like, you know, all your dark colors, your light colors. You don't want everything to be the same. At least I don't. I can't stand it when I look at a painting and I see all of the color is just the same everywhere. Watch, blend this guy out. Doesn't matter if we cover over our mountain a little bit. He's okay. He'll survive the journey. Blend it out over here. Blend it in. Pull some of that red in. Have some of the yellow go out. And pull it all the way if you want. You do whatever you want to do. However makes your sky look the best is the best way to do it. Right? Get all these gorgeous colors. Fantastic. Now we're going to start up here. So we want to have crimson on our brush. So go over our crimson-y area. And that way it's not any bit of yellow. And then we're going to very lightly just start to pull this guy. He's going to want to blend in with any little bit of orangey or yellowy color that you have in here. So very lightly, very light. Now, with this shape, we can take and hide it with clouds, right? Very light, very soft. Cover our sides, cover our tops. A little bit up here. Maybe we drag a little bit of that bluish color down on this crimson-y side over here, just to make the top a little bit darker. Just a little bit. I love having darkness on the edge. It'll bring your eye to the center. Very cool. We're going to wash off the brush just like that. Into the cup, into the bucket. Beat the devil out of it. Comes out nice and clean. Always do what now? Dry it off. That's right. At least I do. Always got to dry it off. All right. Now we got to get that other little bit of yellow off of the brush. Very easily you can dab it off a few times on a paper towel. Works perfectly for me. Okay, now we have our bright white sun. We got to start thinking about clouds back here. So let's take a dark color fan brush. You can tell which is which, and a light color fan brush, just like that. Right? We're going to use both of them. They don't have to be the same size, but they can be if you want to. Now, down in our nice bright area, we don't want to have super dark clouds. It'll really throw us off, throw our brains off. So a little bit of our red, a little bit of our yellow ochre. Mix those two guys together. Right, and pull it down here. You can see it a little bit easier. Get it on both sides of the brush, just like that. So we have this nice, orangey, kind of crazy little color, just on half side of the brush though, right? And maybe we'll decide, maybe our clouds came in like this and we just make a mess. Look at it, instantly it's darker than the color around it, right? Because we took in our lightest area and put that next color darkness in, right? Maybe it was a little bit more, kind of floated off this way. Far off little thing. I'm gonna take our 1-inch brush, just the top corner, start to mix it down, mix it down, mix it down. You don't want to blend it so much that it turns into the color that's behind it, right? That would be silly. But you want to mix it enough to where it's not, you don't have to have all those little brush strokes. Everything's nice and soft, just like that. Very cool, right? Watch, we'll take our white, we're going to come in like this. Get it again on both sides of the brush, just like that. Very cool, very cool. Come in over the top, but we're not going to cover all of our shadows, of course. Can't cover everything, otherwise why did we even put it up there to begin with? Look at that, mush in a little bit of white over there, maybe grab up some, mush it in over here, but leave space, leave areas for them to grow. And then we'll come back again, start on this side, start to pull it away, pull it down over the top of some of that shadow, but you don't want to cover everything, so if you do, start going upwards, right? Do our circles backwards, we'll start curling up. Come down here. Grab this guy, let him start growing down, not meeting these two areas of white. You don't want them to connect, otherwise you lose all the depth, right? You gotta have your shadows, you gotta have your deep darkness in there. Fantastic, look at that. You get this wicked little cloud, just very simply, very easily. Why don't we do a little bit more of that? Let's get a darker color. We'll come up here into our crimson, come back into the red, and it's gonna darken it up just a little bit. And maybe we'll come up here into our darker area and say there was a, I don't know, maybe he came out this way. Very cool, cool little guy, right? Covering over these areas where the color transitions. And that way, you don't even see if, like, say your sky turned green up here accidentally, cover it with a cloud, you're good. No worries. Take our cloud, let's start over here. Take our cloud, gonna mix it down. Leave those areas though. Don't let it cover everything. Don't blend everything out so much that we can't tell that there was even a cloud there, right? It's our guy out here, leaving these little light and dark areas. Everything is gorgeous. Gorgeous. Come back with our white, just like this. Bingo, bango. Now we're gonna light up the bottom side of this cloud, right? Instead of covering the top, we're gonna light up the bottom and have him work his way upwards. So we're gonna leave a little bit of space, grabbing up a little bit more paint, leave a little bit more space. Maybe these guys up here, they were getting lit up like that. And again, it's gonna look how you blend it out. So maybe we'll come up here, grab a little bit, maybe we'll go up and down and up and down and down and up and up and down and over and here and back and forth. And look at that, we got this wicked cloud starting to come together. Anywhere that you don't like, just go over it a few more times. All right, now we're gonna blend this guy upwards because he's the thing, but we don't want these two white areas to touch. So not too crazy. Go down, up, down, up. Leave that little bit of area. You got this really cool cloud. Just like that. Very cool. Very cool. All of a sudden just filled with all these crazy colors. All right, let's go back to that crimson. Go back to our red. And maybe over here we won't see all of this guy. He'll go back behind the wave, but he'll be there. Right, and if it's too close to the color of the sky, go back and add a little bit more of your darker color. Ooh, we picked up a little bit of black accidentally, but that's okay. Start to mix it down, but don't cover everything. Never want to cover it all, right? Look at that. Oh, behind the waves, very cool. Now you don't even have to light up all of that shadow either. Maybe not all of it is even going to be hit by the sun down there. Maybe just a little. Maybe just a little. Same brush, haven't washed it yet. Coming back here, we'll work backwards so you guys can see. Just like that. Very cool little bit of cloud way off in the distance. Way back there. You don't even need to add anything above that. That's cool. Very neat. Now, if you didn't want to add any dark shadows in your super lightest area, you could always go back with just your straight white paint. And who knows, maybe there was a little far off little floater. Just way off in the background back there. Right? And you make him soft. Over and over and over again, you can pull him out, you can slide it, you can decide how much of him you want to see. Is he so far away we can't see anything, or is he kind of close? Depends on how thick it is, right? Very cool. Gorgeous little sky right there. Now I see one fantastic opportunity for a little chemtrail. We're going to take this little teeny slit of paint right here, come out of the tip top of our cloud, and who knows, maybe he was off that way, right? It can look sort of messy. It's okay. Take a brush. You get one swipe is all you get. Make sure it's straight. Boom, you got your cool little chemtrail off in the distance, flying way above the sunset, right? Way above him. Bam. Very neat. One little piece of us out there can help your painting, appeal to a person. I like seeing sometimes when we have a little bit of people out there in the nature, right? You get your cabins and your fences and cool little things. It's where a person was. This indicates there's somebody, even though we're way out here, there's somebody up there flying above us. All right, let's take our darker colors here, black, crimson, blue, and mix these guys up all right here in front of the crimson. It's my dirty area right here. Get nice and deep and dirty down here. Now we're gonna come back and recreate Mount Fuji back in the distance, which I assume it is. There we go, bam, just even a little bit of darkness following our guideline that we had laid down with our Black Gesso, right? Not even gonna fill in the whole thing. Because as we pull down, pull it off, because remember, it's way off there in the distance. We're not gonna see a whole lot of detail on this guy. Now pulling down very gently, very softly, and all these little differences in color in here is what's gonna make our cool little shadows. All right, we're gonna come back with a little bit of white paint, because most of the time it's just covered in this snow cap of white. And we're gonna come down, we're gonna feed him down, but it's not gonna go all the way to the bottom. Just gonna feed him down. Just like that. Letting all the paint fall off the knife, rotate down, this very cool snow-capped mountain back there. Just like that. I don't want the white to go all the way down though. You never want it to go all the way down. Maybe a few more little details back in there. Way off in the distance. distance. Very light, very gentle little touch. And you can see the paint just wants to grab and stick to places, and it doesn't want to stick to other places. So don't force it. That's the key. Take our brush very lightly in the same angles that we went down, just like that, almost like a little smiley face. Bam. Up, 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 very lightly. Just kind of blends that bottom area for us. Gives us our little area of our fog, which we only need a teeny tiny amount of in here. It's so far away. We're just tapping at the base. And that bit of fog, we can come through in front with our wave, and it'll push that mountain so far back, you won't even believe it as my sleeves start to come down. Okay, let's see. I kind of want the tip top to be totally covered. Bam, just like that, very cool. All right, now we need to put down some undercolors. We have to decide what we want our water to look like, right? I left this part so I could show you guys. So let's take a little bit of our phthalo green, and we're gonna put it up here in our dark section where I want the wave to kind of show through a bit of light maybe, where the water's thinner, it's not so deep, right? And then we're gonna take a little bit of that phthalo green and it's gonna go back in here, I believe. There we go. We're gonna kind of piece together what the wave looks like with our dark colors, right? That's where it's gonna be crashing over, so it'll be nice and bright in there. Let our phthalo green roll that way, and now we're gonna go into phthalo blue and fill up most of the rest. Okay, down here, we're gonna come back as close as we can. Push that mountain back with that color. Look how we leave a nice dark line in there, and all of a sudden our mountain is pushed so far away. There we go. It's way off on the distance. Look at that. Very cool. Okay, take a little bit of our blue, fill in the rest. Wherever we want our blue color to shine is where we need to fill it up. So we're gonna mix it in over here, letting it blend itself out. Gotta have some in with the green up top, and then our blue wave's gonna come down. I can see it in my mind already. I can see it. Adding that blue around the edge, right? Allowing it to mix in with our green. Put some over here. Don't want to cover all of our green areas. We want to have those differences in color. So take our blue, add it where there is no green, but then you don't even need to cover all of your dark either. You really don't. You want to have some areas that are completely black on the canvas. That's what I like to do anyway. Last little bit of blue. Let's see, we'll come in here and just light it up. And then when we go over it with our white paint, all of this color is going to show through in different hues. It's going to be fantastic. Very cool. Very, very, very cool. You can take a little bit more of that phthalo green, maybe put it up in here. Just like that. All right, we'll wash these brushes off. We'll get going. All right, now comes the fun part. Now comes the fun part. Well, why don't we take, since the color is going to get very dark anyway, let's take this, our darker color brush. It's all nice and clean. We're going to fill it up with our white paint. Fill it up on both sides, just pulling down from our big pile up here. You don't need this much paint. I never know how much we're gonna need because we don't know what the scenes are gonna look like until we get finished, right? So let's try and sort of set up what we want our waves to start looking like. Okay, and by adding our white paint as our highlights is what it's gonna start to be. So imagine we have all this crash out here. We can start coming in and lighting up what we want our giant wave to start looking like. How much is it gonna crash? And we can always get rid of all these little marks by blending them in. Right, maybe out there on the distance, we had a little bit of our water, started to climb its way up, but we're not gonna overdo it. Don't wanna overdo anything. A couple swipes will make it nice and soft, blend it in, make it start looking like water. You can drag the paint, you can move it, you can push it, you can get a little bit of a bright area where you think it's gonna rotate over. Have that little bit of brightness come down. Start to form what we want the under color of our painting to be, right? Let it get dark down here. We don't need a whole lot of brightness up there. Now we can take the top of our wave, it starts to come back. So let's curl its way back, leaving a little bit of our light area, a little bit of our dark area. It's coming up to this crazy, just crash, right? All this stuff is just rotating. Everything is rotating in like this big thing. starting to come down. But again, don't light it up too much. We want it to stay dark, especially towards the edges. Don't need too many details. Make it soft with those same strokes. Just lighting it up. Very gentle little things. We don't have much to play with. Now we need to come in. It's going to crash in. So maybe we'll feed some of it back here. Like it's coming and meeting up with that bit. It's going to rotate, crash. There'll be all sorts of stuff happening. So let's start getting some shadow in there and seeing what we're going to look like as it rotates over. Right? You can always go back in, even add it over the top of our clouds just to help your wave kind of change your shape. Doesn't all have to be perfect all the time, right? Now let's grab up our dark colors, our black and crimson and blue. Let's grab all these guys up in here. A lot of paint on your brush. You want it to be nice and thick and full. It's got to be full. Crazy full, right? And then we're going to start to create all of our splash. So as our splash is rotating over, we're getting all of this white. It's kind of, our wave starts to spin and rotate over the side. And have all sorts of just this crazy amount of splash coming down, right? All depends on what you want it to look like. Mine's going to take over my whole little sun. It'll be fantastic. All this detail, have it come out over your little bit of eye. It'll be really cool, because then when we come in with our liquid white and our titanium white, as we mix up a little bit on the palette over here, just on both sides, and we start to come in and just pop up with all this crazy amount of water. Look at all this stuff happening in there. It really starts to come down. It's wicked. Wicked. Right? I never like it to be perfect, so it's got to have little bits of jaggedy, just water about to crash off the side. Really cool. Now let's get a whole bunch more. Maybe this side started to come down further. It was down in here. It's just started to fall in. Get all these cool little things happening. All I'm doing is touching with the corner of the brush, pushing up with just the corner, right? Creating these little things, little splashy effects like that. Cool little things that you don't want to overdo and cover, or cover too much of your dark shadow color, right? Now this guy back here, he's much more of a crazy, there we go. Much more on a rounded angle because we're rotating over back here. So we've got to round him out over there, right? Take our brush very gently on those same angles. A little bit more pressure, you can blend him out a little bit. Very cool, get this big amount of water coming down onto us. That is pretty neat. Why don't we take this guy, pull back just with a little bit of white, and that'll create that kind of look of the water rolling over. It's coming down back here. It's everywhere. Connect these little guys. Leave little streaks of white if you can. There's little details that are going to stand out. Bam, just like that. All that water is starting to fall and crash. You get more white. Some more white on the brush. Leaving little differences, right? I don't want to cover every little thing. So it's got to have little differences, maybe in a little bit of blue. A little bit of blue back there in the water. Don't want to have it all the same. Very cool. Very cool. Take that little bit of our white in there, right? We've started to shape our thing underneath. So let's add a little bit of foam in our water, like it was getting sucked up that way. Right, leaving the area underneath here very dark. Underneath our waves where it's crashing, very dark. There we go. That's starting to look cool. All right, swipe it up, swipe it up. Don't touch your foam. Leave those areas dark underneath. That water is rotating over. Crazily rotating over. Right, so much so we even need more bits of shadowy goodness back here. I don't want to see all of this stuff that's going on back there. Don't want to see it all. So let's get a little bit of our rotating, splashing water as it's coming down. Very cool. Crashing in all sorts of places. All sorts of places. Need a little bit more of our shadow. See what we can do with this bit around the top. Maybe he needs a few more bits underneath him just to help it rotate. You know what I mean? Rotation. Make it, there we go. Start making it look more and more rounded by what it looks like, you know, like how it's crashing. Very cool. Very cool. These guys on the edge though, we want to keep them just like that. Don't want to go too nuts. Big giant wall of water that's coming at us. Very neat. Very neat. Okay, these guys down here, very softly. We're going to pull them out. Again, don't cover up all those details. Leave those differences. They end up being your details. They're very cool. Very cool. Remember, swipe these guys up into the rotation of the wave. Don't want to have anything not make sense. Man, that's neat. That is neat. Okay, let's feed some other older waves back here, right? These cool little bits, maybe they come down, just leaving little differences, leaving gaps, leaving areas for the paint to grow, right? It's a crazy bit of water. Very cool. Now I want to take a little bit of white, just straight up white, see if we can't just let it blend in just like that. Right? Get all these cool little bits, different little differences. Let it swipe in. All that foam, all that stuff, that different color. Very lightly over the top. Just to help it blend a little. Let it move, let it kind of come in here. Very cool. Very, very cool. You can always go back in and add little imperfections, little bits into our darkness where we didn't like the way how the wave was so perfectly straight. Again, just pull it down how you think the water would move, or up, down or up, however it's going to move. That's how you want to pull it. Very cool. Very cool. All right, now let's come in. We had a whole nother little bit of wave. So let's take our white paint onto the fan brush, just like that. And who knows, maybe there was a whole nother little bit that came in here. It was like that. We can start to slide this guy back. Have him sort of meet up with that other color back there. Right? Very cool. Start to, who knows, we can do all sorts of stuff. You can start to make all sorts of little waves, just depending on how you angle your brush, where your darkness is, where your light is. Right? The next one now, maybe he came down here. Like that. And then we can have all these little details in this side of our wave as it's rotating back. Leaving our little darkness, our little bit of line down here. Right? We're going to have this whole giant thing. A whole nother wave be coming. A whole wave be coming, Captain. Blending it back here. So it's like it came up, met its little ridge, flowed off another way down there. Same thing with this guy. It's all about the angle of our poles, though. You don't want to have them be too straight or too... There we go, look at that. Nice and soft. Very cool. Very cool. All right, let's wash off one of these brushes so we can have a pure white brush again. Let's see. Got these cool bits of our wave. This is going to be our little incoming, our next little incoming wave. We know how we love to have depth around here. So I really want to keep this guy white as he's coming up. Very cool. I'm going to go over it, but very lightly so I don't change the color. Don't want to change the color of that guy. Have him be bright, have him stand out. We can always go back and put a little bit more liquid white on him as it gets down to it. So the next piece of our wave is all sort of just crashing down in here. So let's create a little bit of an eye. Maybe we'll light this area up like it's rotating over. Don't want to make it too light, too crazy. Yeah, just like that. Very cool. All right, now all of our foam, again, is like rotating over that little light eye area. So let's come back and we'll do it like, who knows? We'll kind of come down over the top of this guy. just by bouncing in our crazy little bit of foam. And peak up at the top of the wave up here. It's gonna come down. We're gonna be crashing everywhere. We got all this darkness. That's why we're on a black, well, half a black canvas down here, right? Half a black canvas. All right, now, in my mind, the water would be feeding back from here, going up into its next little guy, its next little wave, and then it's gonna be crashing over again, right? So, I'm gonna come in, cover up that bit where we don't wanna see our brush strokes, and then we'll have it rotate over and crash down upon us again, right? Come over here, load up both sides. Again, just tapping with the right-hand corner down here, just tapping up and then moving and then rotating and spinning the brush and changing and rotating it this way, not trying to cover up all those little shadowy areas as our wave starts crashing down again, right? Very cool. Got all this bit of our wave that was headed back that way. Right, feeding it back in. Maybe he came down to about there. Feed it back to that darkness though. Don't leave a whole lot of crazy light out there. Don't want it to be super bright. Make it soft. Gotta make it soft. Follow those angles of our waves. And then we'll come in a little bit more of that darkness. Black, crimson, blue. Down in here. Just covering, you know, what we don't want to see. Now, before we get too far ahead, let's switch back to our white brush. And maybe underneath, again, there was these little lines that we're not going to see all of, right? These guys are fading back, going back to that wave, so maybe down there, maybe down there. Yeah, we got all this new little section of ocean that we can light up, right? Just crazily light up with our colors. So we don't want to lose all of the dark though, so don't lose it all. All kind of feeding back into this wave over here, right? This cool little bit of ocean. Now, back in with our brush, same rounded strokes, feed the wave, feed it back. Remember, we're gonna have all those other details back here, and we can always come back in and fix it. Feed it long strokes, pull it, stretch it out. Right, all these guys up here, you want them to kind of light up that water a little bit. Just don't lose all of the dark area. Right, because then in those dark area, those dark spots, that's where we're going to create all of our cool details. Just like that. And again, we can come back in, whatever parts we missed up on our water, or if you wanted to go over a little bit more, cover a little bit more area, right? You can do that. You come back in, pop up little things, liquid white and titanium white with just the corner of the brush and let it bounce. Don't cover everything, right? You know, all these cool little bits of water happening in there. Very neat. Again, we're not going to see all of the eye of the wave, so don't let it see all of it. And don't cover it all. Bam! These very cool little bits that are just falling over our water that's down here. Right? It's trying to grow its way up into the wave. All this foam. And remember, we're not on the shore. We're out here in the middle of nothing. So we have all of this foamy water out here. And if you leave those little bits of darkness underneath, it'll look like it's crashing onto it, right? Very cool. Very cool. We need to spruce up these guys over here. Let's see if we can't get a little bit more of our white and just really brighten these guys up on this side. So we had all that water that was back here. This was our wave, right? Switch. Coming in like that. So all this stuff needs to be rotated as well. Little teeny rotations as it's feeding itself back to the next wave. Little things. Don't need a whole lot. Try not to cover up all that line that we just drew in there. I seem to do it quite often. Here we go. You can go up from the bottom. Bam. All this movement in our water. And who knows, maybe our next little bit of darkness or our wave, we had to come in. You gotta have dark areas, so keep it dark in certain places, right? That's why I love using these dark flat canvases. You can always go back in and change it however you want, just by adding little bits of dark or not. Taking things away, adding things, very cool. Very cool. You know what we do need? just for my own mind, just a little line of dark underneath our rotating weight. You guys know that in my mind, it just helps it kind of get round if it's nice and dark underneath. So, don't need to light up everything, right? Nothing needs to be completely lit up in the light. You can have these dark areas. You can let the shadows cast. Very cool. Very cool. Some of these guys I don't want to have so crazily bright, so we'll just rotate them like that. And what's really cool, you can take your fan brush in and really add in, just with the pure liquid white, really add in cool little details just by tapping. You don't even want the bristles to bend. Just little taps of the water. Right? Maybe you even have some up here that are just rotating so high over that they're not even in the shadow. Little things. Helps it look real, right? Very cool. Very cool. All right, let's take our little bit of white. We'll come in with our last. Let me get paint. How did I get paint all over the brush, my glove, everywhere? Everywhere. Time out, everybody. Time out. People go, why do you wear gloves? This is why. That's why. That's why we wear gloves. Because I tend to put my paintbrushes down in piles of paint and then not realize it until it's too late. Okay, now we're going to grab that up again. I think we're all set and squared away. Let's grab up our titanium white again. And let's come in, but let's change the angle of this next guy. Maybe he comes down in like that, and all this white starts feeding back to our little dark line. See how we're feeding it back? Feed, feed, feed. Helping it grow, helping it change. I want to change the angle a little bit. There we go. You get a new little section of water coming in. Very cool. Very cool. That's one of my favorite paintings right here. Very neat. A lot of movement, a lot of stuff happening. Now we're going to take this guy and make him nice and soft, but not kill all those details either. Right? Drag it back to the dark line, leaving that little bit of shadow. Fill up the bottom. We're set. That's a great painting right there. That is a great painting of a classic. And I hope yours looks exactly the same. Right? All it is the angles, which you can a lot of times go in and change just by pushing and rotating and changing them or making them softer. Man, very cool. Very cool. A lot of motion, a lot of things happening. You know what we could even do? Might look even cool if we put like a little bit crashing down here. Don't even want to cover up everything. Right? Definitely don't want to. We want to have our little splashy water be very dark, but we don't want to cover everything. A little bit of liquid white, a little bit of titanium white, and we'll come in. Very cool. Just feeding it back. However you think it's rotating over, feed it back up to that little line, and it should look like that. Very cool. See, you got all sorts of stuff happening. And then if you didn't like it, you change it, right? So we'll just dab them in just for a little difference in color. And then we'll change it. Just because Josh didn't like that. All about the angles of the brush. No matter what we do, you can change it by the angle of the brush. Now let's get a little liner brush and a lot of liquid white on it. And we'll come in here and start making our little wavy details. I like to spin the brush so it rotates and drops off paint as we're going, right? Come in here, maybe we got some of these guys that just fed themselves back. Hanging along the top of that water. Just little details, right? Little things, little lips, little lines, different things. May even look neat if that little guy had a little bit of darkness just underneath him. Much as we can get anyway. Just helps it be that much taller. It sits taller in the water. Very cool. Just have them rotate. Rotate around, do all sorts of stuff, right? Let's take the next little bit of dark line. Maybe we have him back here, and he's coming in. Just a nice little straight, even little line. Doesn't even have to be straight. Let's go up like that. Who cares? Go up here, go over there, right? Doesn't even matter. Take a little bit of liquid white, a little bit of our titanium white again. Go over the top of him. Let some of the shadow shine through though. If you lose it all, there's no point in putting that little shadowy line back there, right? A little bit more liquid white, a little bit more titanium white. Doesn't have to be perfect, right? Little things, little lips, little things that are happening in the water are very cool, right? Maybe these guys started to grow out, started to come up underneath. You get all this little motion happening. All the motion of the ocean. Get these guys to connect. There we go. Really neat. Take some of our little bit of darkness and maybe we start to rotate this wave down like that. All right, all these little guys flowing out to the side. Little differences is all we want. Right, little things maybe came off the lip or came over here. All over the top of those little shadows, and they just give them the coolest little things. Right, little lines down in here. It's the water, so it's going to be wavy. It's not going to be all the same all the time. Right, blend it, change it. However you want it to look is how it's going to look. You can move mountains, you can move oceans, you can do all sorts of stuff. Right, very lightly. Very lightly back here, otherwise we'll just blend them all away. Right? The further they are away, the easier they are to blend away, that's for sure. All right, now I want to take a little bit, I gotta have a little bit more brightness in there, so I'm gonna take a little bit of our white, and maybe back in here, like we were saying, there was that foam. So I'm not gonna pick up the brush, I'm just gonna start to slide it up, right? Right on the top of this dark line back here. We had all that foamy water climbing its way up our wave, trying to work its way back. Really rotating up down in here, right? Really trying to get underneath. Shows the movement of the water like that. Now we're gonna come back in, grab up our liquid white on this guy, and come back, stay over the top of that darkness, just leaving that little line of white. Having to blend in like that. You got a whole other cool piece of wave that's about to fall over. Remember, they never all fall at the same time or in the same place. So don't worry about it. Let's bring in another little bit of foam on this guy and then we'll be done. Come in here, right? Not picking our brush up. Just rotating, having some of that brightness slide its way back. Coming in from its next little bit of oncoming wave, right? With that little bit of upwards flick, but we don't want to cover that next dark area. It's very cool. Very cool just how it is. Don't cover it all. And these guys, we can take whatever we don't like, again, make it, but the further away it is, I feel these will be darker. These will be brighter down here, right? They're going to be more bright white down here because they're much closer to us. We can see them, right? Much closer. We can see more things happening, more of the wave wanting to turn and move how waves do, right? Stick it as high as you want. All kind of crazy foam. Very lightly go over it, either with your fan brush or your 1-inch brush, doesn't matter. I use the fan brush sometimes. Bam, just like that. Working on those angles. Remember, you gotta flick them up around here. It's gotta look around, especially down in here. All of our angles are going up like they're gonna rotate over and crash again. And then we have all these guys down here. Same thing, light flicks all the way to that black line. Don't wanna lose that dark line. That's the best. Very cool. All right, it did seem like we did lose the dark line underneath here. So I'm gonna get a little bit of blue on my brush, just straight up blue. And we're gonna come underneath this bit of the lip of our wave in here. Right, just with a little bit of that darker blue is going to help it look more round than, and more like it's going to rotate over with this darkness down there, right? Very simply, you just add in your little bit of shadowy color, Again, you can have it be wavy, you can have it be bigger in some spaces, lighter, darker. It's just gonna help your wave kind of rotate. Okay, and we're gonna take that little bit of our darkness in the same angles, just to soften the edge. Pull it away. Very soft. Very softly go over it. Man, we're good. Excellent, I like that, it's very cool. Very cool. Don't know how I could make the little splashy water bits any better than that. That's wicked. That's wicked. You know what it needs is a little bit of our bright white as well coming out onto the, like it's really falling out. Don't want them to be so straight up there though. Again, you don't want to have too many. If you have too many, now we're going to have to go back and change the shape of our dark area, right? So we got to have that darkness. There we go. That's what was making my brain hurt. That little bit at the top where it's rotating over. Okay, now we can come in, start dabbing in or popping in, pushing in, popping up. All these little cool little things. They're starting to rotate over, right? Again, we need those nice bright bits, so just get a lot of liquid white right on the edge and pop in your nice bright areas, but don't do too many or they won't be as bright, right? In this painting too, there were so many little things happening, like little bits of water falling all over the place. It was really cool. These guys were falling down like they were gonna hit the thing. Really neat. Little teeny tiny things, right? Teeny tiny things. Really pop in that darkness though. You wanna make sure it's dark. Can't be anything less than dark. Otherwise our white doesn't stand out over the top of it, right? Popping in, pushing up. Until you like the way that it looks. Doesn't have to look good for anyone else but you, right? Very cool. A lot of rotating water about to flip over and come smash down upon us. Again, the more you do, the more it's going to look all the same. So figure out when you're done and stop. And that is a gorgeous looking painting right there. All right, let's take our liquid white and maybe down here on this guy, we'll put the old JK. Right down there like that. All right, well, this one turned out fantastic. I hope you guys, oh, what's that I hear? Where are the birds? You're right, you're right. Let's do the birds. Take a little bit of our paint thinner into our dark color down here. Sometimes we have to do it down and out of frame because it just gets too runny and messy. Maybe we'll put it down over here. The family flying away. These represent myself, my wife London, and our gorgeous little daughter, and they go into every single painting that Paint with Josh does. So I encourage you guys to add your families. If you have 5 birds or 3 people in your family, 4, 6, whatever you got, add them. They're very cool. Adds a little personal touch to your artwork. So this one turned out fantastic. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you try to paint it and send it in. We love seeing them. We post them twice a week. Everybody that sends them in, we try to get them out. So yeah, until we see you guys on the next one, always live shows on Friday and Sunday. We do seascapes just like this. Well, not just like this, a little bit easier than this, but yeah, it's gonna be fantastic. So until we see you guys again next time, take care. Have the rest of a good day, and pow! Get them out of here. My goodness. Hi guys, welcome back to Paint. Hi there, welcome back to Paint with Josh. Today, me and you. Hi there, welcome back to Paint with Josh. Today, oh my goodness. It's wicked. It's a bit down around the bottom. I don't really care for. But that's okay. You're obviously excited about painting this one. That's why you clicked on the link. So check the description down below. Make sure you get your canvases. Hi there, welcome back to Paint with Josh. Today, you and I are going to create this scene. It's going to be fantastic on 18 by 24 inch canvas. The Great Wave off Kanagawa. Man, we did it in our style and it turned out fantastic. So, sounds cool. Hi, welcome back. Wet. Get ready to throw some paint on it. We're gonna do it just like this. One more time. Hi guys.